When we start looking at the parabola or the quadratic function, the standard form is ax squared plus q. So, if they ask you for the standard form, you have to write it as y equals ax squared plus q. You need your x squared first and your constant value last. If they give you the equation in another form, you may change it to standard form. You can do that to make your own life easier. So, to find the equation of a quadratic function or a parabola, you need to find your y-intercept and at least one other coordinate. If they will give you either your y-intercept and one other coordinate, or they will give you your two x-intercepts and one other coordinate to work from. When they give you your y-intercept and one other coordinate, your q value is your y-intercept. So you already have your q value the moment you have a y-intercept. From there, you substitute the other coordinate to find your a value. If they give you two x-intercepts and a different sign, a different set of coordinates, you can go to the following formula. Y is equals to a bracket x minus root 1, and for the second bracket x minus root 2. What this means is that the x-intercepts you have are the roots of the equation. When you have your roots, you can simplify out the brackets to have a and one big bracket. Then again, a third coordinate or one of the two that you previously used, you substitute to find a. Make sure of your signs when you do the substitution, so that when you have a negative x for your root, your sign becomes positive. Drawing the graph, you have 5 steps you need to do. You can number them each time to make sure you have everything, or you can do them by head, but it would be preferred that you make sure you have all the steps. So, first things first, you need to determine the shape. If your a value is positive or bigger than 0, it'll be a smiley face. If your a value is negative or smaller than 0, it'll be a frowny face. It's the easiest way to remember them. Then you need to find your axis of symmetry for your second part. Your axis of symmetry is the x coordinate of your turning point. So your turning point is the point where your graph turns. For now, it will almost always be equal to 0. And after you have your axis of symmetry, you find your y-intercept. So you substitute x equal to 0, and your x-intercept, where you substitute y equal to 0. The last step is to draw the graph. From quadratic functions, it is easier to start drawing as you find everything. So next to the steps, you draw your Cartesian plane and you show everything. When you have your axis of symmetry, you draw a dotted line and say that x equals 0. When you have your y-intercept on your Cartesian plane, you plot your y-intercept, and from there you will see, do you need to find your x-intercept, or can you just continue on to draw it? So, for an example, if they give you y is equals to x squared minus 1, for your shape, you have positive 1, x squared minus 1. Your a value is positive, so your shape will be a happy face. It will be a smiley. Your axis of symmetry will be at x equals to 0. And your y-intercept, if you substitute x equals to 0, you have negative 1. So, as you have your y-intercept, you substitute it onto the Cartesian plane. So you have your y-intercept is at negative 1. So your turning point, your axis of symmetry means that from the one coordinate to your symmetry to the next coordinate is the same distance. They have the same y value and they are the same distance from point A to your line and from your line to point B. Then, because you have your y-intercept below your x-axis, you have two x-intercepts. So then, from number 3, you continue on to get your x-intercept, which you do by substituting y equal to 0. So if you substitute y equals to 0, you have 0 is equals to x squared minus 1, which is difference of squares, or you can take your constant value to the left hand side, but you have to remember when you square root your x squared and your 1, you have to say plus or minus square root of 1. So your x will be plus or minus 1. When you have that, you substitute, you show it on the Cartesian plane. 1x is negative 1, 1x is positive 1. And then you simply draw your sketch. And remember to name it. You have to include what kind of sketch it is. So you have to say, this is for y equals x squared minus 1.